Day 336 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. And as always, we'll head over to the Russian military losses, which are currently sitting on 123,080 Russian military personnel losses, which represents an addition of 910 in the past 24 hours. So it was also a bit of a big day on multiple fronts, with 9 tanks, 23 APCs, 6 artillery, and another aircraft as well. Again, so very good to see that. Then we'll move back to the map, but probably best to start out with some of the bigger news for today, where it seems Chancellor Olaf Scholz of Germany has made the decision to send Leopard 2 battle tanks to Ukraine and permit other countries such as Poland to do the same as well. Additionally, the United States may provide Abrams tanks. So the US is considering sending somewhere in the vicinity of 30 to 50 Abrams tanks, and may perform an official announcement on that one in the upcoming week as well. But back to the Leopard tanks in particular, it appears the floodgates have really opened for these, as it looks like many other countries were prepared for the news. Because after Poland, there was Finland, Norway, Portugal, and the Netherlands, who are all vocalizing their intent on sending their own Leopards tanks as well now. So Norway, for instance, spoke up about sending 8 of their 32 Leopard tanks. Then the Netherlands said they're considering purchasing 18 Leopard 2 tanks to donate to Ukraine. Then, of course, there's Ukraine's neighbor Poland as well, who has been instrumentally a central figure in all of this since the beginning, applying the pressure on Germany to authorize the tank transfers. Oh, and also Germany's Rheinmetall, so that's the German producer of the Leopard tanks, said they can offer 139 of their tank stocks, but that part might come down to which countries purchase the tanks for donating to Ukraine. But numbers are flying everywhere right now, and we already know, irrespective of this news, that training for these tanks is just about to commence in the next few days or so to create new Ukrainian tank brigades. And as for the Abrams M1 tanks from the USA, it appears they actually won't be sent directly from the existing US stocks, but instead purchased by Ukraine direct from production plants, conveyor lines, as part of a Ukrainian security assistance initiative instead. Oh, and then there's also the UK Challenger tanks going to Ukraine, and France as well, talking about the option of sending their Leclerc tanks too. Meanwhile, as Russian tank stocks run low with production rate timeframes per unit skyrocketing per modern tank output, that's not a good thing. I really want to see Russia pull out their old World War II era T-34 tanks from storage and lose all of their dignity in the process. Oh, but one thing I really do expect from all of this is Russian military spokesperson and funny man Igor Konashenkov probably is shortly going to announce or claim he's already taken out, or the Russian forces have already taken out 10 or so Leopard tanks even before they make their way into the country of Ukraine. And I'm not even joking, he's claimed impossible losses so many times before. In fact, it was just last week when he claimed that Russian forces had taken out a whole bunch of US Bradley infantry fighting vehicles even before they landed in Ukraine. So we all look forward to seeing what tales he can spin again in the future. Then we'll move across to the Ukrainian map, or really, let's see, so the Russian map in this case, so Belgorod. So there's some smoke raising near Shevakina, so this is on the Russian side of the border. And as for some context, this is a Russian border town and a location that Russian forces were firing from to the Ukrainian border town of Vovchansk, as you can see also right there, just beyond the border too. As such, the Ukrainian Defense Forces performed some counter-battery fire back to the Russian forces on the other side, and this has been happening, these back and forth exchanges of artillery volleys, happening for a couple of days at these towns now. Then we'll move across on the map, not exactly map specific, but the Belarusian armed forces have been recovering vehicles from long-term storage for joint grouping of forces with Russia. So as you can see, these are the 50-year-old Ural trucks, and common trolls can say what they want about how amazing they are, but these are long-term storage vehicles that are in literal disrepair. This guy is smiling though, mechanic, as part of a clear attempt at a propaganda campaign, but I wonder what he's really thinking. Oh, and literally just hours before this puff piece was put out, Belarus was talking about signing a non-aggression pact with Ukraine. And as we've already seen before, these things can sometimes not even be worth the paper that they're written on. But Ukraine well and truly knows now to hope for the best, but certainly expect the worst. Then moving across on the map to the Donbas, where, let's see, so the AFU repelled an attack south of Crimea in the forest. So I'll zoom into that one there, around this region here, which means they're clearly protecting recent gains they've made, but are usually slow to claim victory over. Unlike the Russian methodology, of course, where they love to overclaim and overclaim too early as well. Now, on the map, just as a bit of a refresher, the green signifies the AFU liberated these territories from over 2 weeks ago. But we know the AFU is really pushing further north into Crimea than what this map would otherwise currently suggest right now. Then moving down on the map, let's see, so for instance, Bakhmut. Now, I'll keep it short here today, but Russia continues their encirclement plans to take out Bakhmut. Now, they'll never actually literally encircle it and capture the AFU forces in there. If anything, it would be more of a genuine tactical withdrawal from the Ukrainian armed forces. And I call it a genuine tactical withdrawal as opposed to the non-genuine tactical withdrawal claims that Russia made when they lost huge swaths of land in the past. Oh, and I've got a still here, still of a video where a bit of handy night work was done by the Ukrainian forces, performing artillery strikes on key Russian positions. In this instance, an observation post of the Russian army was destroyed. Oh, and last but not least, I did mention it very briefly before, but yet another Russian Su-25 was taken out nearing the front lines of the Bakhmut area. This time, it's usually always in the Donbas when these are taken out at the moment, but I promise not to hammer on about all of the implications of that again today. Then we'll move down where the Russian forces conducted an attack towards Vuhledar through northern Pavlivka. So this is right here we go, ending up in complete failure. A fair bit of Russian hardware was destroyed as well, including 3 BMP infantry fighting vehicles and 2 BTR-82 APCs, so they're the armored personnel carriers. And you know, I'm still not seeing a lot of Russian tanks storming frontal positions recently. I kid, of course. The Russian forces are legitimately running low on tanks. And and I believe this whole piece about the failed storming of Vuhledar from the Russian forces came out. What I'm about to show you came out just before the failure. So, as the Russian commander of the south, Katakovsky, announced on Telegram, the start of a Russian offensive in the Vuhledar direction. So that's not ideal. He should probably keep things like that under wraps a bit more. And anyway, this location is actually pretty well fortified by the AFU after months and months of Russia trying to take it out unsuccessfully. It's just one big mess for the Russian army at this location. Then we'll move across momentarily to Zaporizhia, where a vehicle belonging to a Russian collaborator has exploded in Berdyansk. So right here. Now, nobody was injured, but this happens quite a bit here. Typically, a local partisan not agreeing with the Russian invasion at all. So just to imagine for a moment, put yourself in the shoes of the invading force, the invading Russian force, or in particular the installed puppet government in the region. You would probably, at this late stage of the game, be cringing at even the idea of hopping into your car for a drive from A to B, just to the shops. And, perhaps that's just how the occupying government and forces should perceive the situation to be there. Not a very welcoming one. Then we'll move across to Kherson, where early this morning, the Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian SOF in fact, conducted a small boat raid across the Dnipro River. This is in the north. And when I say north, I mean north of Kherson City, so right here, right by Dnipro. And we're targeting a Russian forward command post located on the riverside. And like I said, it was early morning footage, so it happened early in the morning, so the footage, therefore, is not that great. Either way, it looks like they forced the invaders to wake up. Then moving out of the map, looking at some of the lighter side of news or happenings here. So this is just a quick video showing border guard personnel, Ukrainian border guard personnel of the Odessa region, performing a stunning rendition of Shedbreak and looking pretty light-spirited as a result. Very good. Then in yet another Russian mobilization blunder, we have yet another group of Russian mobilized soldiers who are complaining how they were trained to do one thing but sent to do another thing in the Ukraine war. So these guys are from Siberia. We're trained to be territorial defense forces, border forces, which they were led to believe it would be an inside Russia job. But instead they were, you guessed it, thrown into a frontal or a frontline assault group where they already have 21 men out of action in just the past 2 days alone. And again, they're thinking this is some kind of mistake or some kind of office report clerical error. Oh, the naivety. And I say this every time, but these guys are exactly where their command intends for them to be. Then to round off the video, how about a little bit of a celebratory change to round it off for once? So today, the 25th of January, is Ukrainian President Zelensky's 45th birthday. So happy birthday, old chum. And just for a little bit of context, sociopathic, compassionless Putin has turned 70 just a few months ago there. In fact, you might remember the birthday present he got, as it was right around the time the Crimean Bridge was hit. And I know you remember it, the big Kerch Bridge that leads into Russia, the one for which Russia overwhelmingly relies on for its logistical military capacity in the south. And it's been about 4 months now, and it's still getting repairs. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe. Thanks again for all of your support, all your continued support in me doing this, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.